An East Texan is defending a law that was set to require age verification for phone apps. Our Michael Richardson reports on what a Mount Pleasant lawmaker is saying about the App Store Accountability Act, which has been blocked by a federal judge.
What this does is gives parents a little bit more control.
Representative Cole Hefner is expressing support for Senate Bill 2420, known as the App Store Accountability Act. The bill requires parents to give the okay for minors to use applications or make software purchases. Age rating and age verification measures are also enforced through the bill.
We don't allow 13-year-olds to enter into contracts in any other part of society. Why would we allow them to enter into these contracts where who knows what kind of filth, what kind of tracking data, what could be coming in with these apps?
A federal judge has blocked the legislation from going into effect, citing First Amendment concerns. Testimony against the bill referenced the Constitution.
Although well-intentioned, the bill would create substantial privacy risks and violate clear Supreme Court precedent with broad age limitations to users' right to access various digital services.
A one-size-fits-all government mandate will give users a false impression of security and will flatten the offerings for youth safety in the future.
The judge's decision to block the act comes after the bill received bipartisan support in the legislature last session. Michael Richardson, East Texas News Weekend.
The App Store Accountability Act isn't the only item relating to technology that passed last session. Under a new law, students cannot use cell phones in public school classrooms.